Every American has the same fantasy about the German Autobahn. Land in Munich, rent something German and angry, find an open stretch, and floor it. No cops, no limit, no rules. Freedom. Finally, a road that lets you off the leash. I have to be the one to tell you, the Autobahn is one of the most rule-bound, surveilled, ruthlessly disciplined roads on the entire planet. Yes, there is no speed limit on a lot of it. That is the one thing you are free to do. Everything else is a wall of rules so strict it would get the average American fined, pointed, and banned before the first exit. So here are the 10 rules that actually run it, and nearly every one is something you do every single day without thinking. Rule 4 will genuinely shame you. Rule 9 is the most passive-aggressive law ever written. And the last one is the one your license back home never came with. Because the no limit is not the absence of rules, it is the reward at the dead center of the strictest driving culture on earth. Break Rule 1 and you have already lost. Rule 1 is not even about speed, it is about your lane. The Rechtsfahrgebot, the drive on the right commandment, is close to sacred. You stay in the rightmost lane, always, and the left lanes are only ever for overtaking. Cruise in the left lane because you personally feel fast enough, the great American tradition, and it is not just rude, it is illegal, it is fined, and every German behind you counts it as a small moral failing. And that is the whole trick. Keep the fast lane clear, and the quick cars always have somewhere predictable to be. Motorway chaos is not caused by speed, it is caused by surprise, and the Germans engineered the surprise out. Rule 2 is the mirror image. You never, ever pass on the right. Undertaking is banned. Overtaking happens on the left, full stop. Sounds like a technicality. It is the whole difference between a road where fast traffic comes from one known direction and a free-for-all where a car can appear on either side of you at any second. In America, you overtake wherever there is a gap and the will to live. Rule 3. Before you touch any of this, Germany makes sure you can actually drive. A license is not an afternoon at the DMV and a laminated card. It is an ordeal, commonly around 3,000 euros and rising, with mandatory lessons including night and Autobahn driving, a brutal theory exam, and a practical test that fails people constantly. You do not get it at 17 because you turned 17. You earn it or you keep taking the train. In America, you can be licensed to pilot 2 tons of steel with less scrutiny than it takes to get a library card. Rule 4 will quietly shame you. When the Autobahn jams to a halt, German drivers do something automatic and genuinely beautiful. They form the Rettungsgasse, the rescue lane. No one directs them, not a single flashing light. Every car just edges apart to open a clear channel down the middle so ambulances can reach the crash. In seconds. Everywhere. Every time. Picture that forming on an American freeway, unprompted. On our roads, the rescue lane is wherever the ambulance can bully its way through, one terrified Buick at a time. Rule 5. On a road with enormous closing speeds, the gap between cars is not a suggestion. It is measured and enforced. The rule of thumb is half your speedometer in meters, so 100 meters of empty space at 200. Tailgate, and the fine is steep, the points stack, and you can be banned outright. There are camera bridges whose entire job is to measure your following distance and post you the ticket. In America, tailgating is a personality. In Germany, it is a court date. Rule 6. None of this works if the machine is not up to it, so Germany polices the car too. Every vehicle past 3 years old must pass the TÜV, a mandatory inspection, every 2 years, or it is off the road. Bald tires and soft brakes do not get to play at 200. Meanwhile, half of America is one road trip away from discovering that its brakes were more of a suggestion. Rule 7 is the whole philosophy in one line. You are not allowed to simply stop. Pulling over without an emergency is illegal, and running out of fuel counts as your fault, a finable offense, because a stationary car on a fast road is a lethal obstacle, and not running dry was, frankly, your one job. So Germans check the tank. The road does not forgive the unprepared, which is exactly why so few people arrive unprepared. Rule 8 is the one the memes never mention. The Autobahn is not one endless, lawless straight. The no limit only covers certain open stretches. Near cities, junctions, and roadworks, there are hard limits, and increasingly they are dynamic. Electronic gantries read the traffic and the weather and drop the limit in real time. 120, then 100, then 80. The freedom is switched on only where it is safe, and off the instant it is not, automatically, by the road itself. That is not the absence of control. It is control precise enough to know exactly when to let go. Rule 9. Even on the open stretches there is a number, 130. It is not a limit. It is the Richtgeschwindigkeit, the recommended speed, and you are completely free to exceed it. But here is the catch. Crash while going well above 130, and a German court can hand you part of the blame for the damage, even when the crash was not really your fault. A speed limit with no penalty and enormous consequences, a number that dares you to beat it, then makes you own whatever happens when you do. The most passive-aggressive speed limit ever devised. And under all 9 of those sits Rule 10, the one an American license does not come with. In Germany, driving is a privilege you can lose, not a right you were born holding. Points, bans, and real consequences sit behind every rule on this list, and people drive as though the privilege is on loan, because it is. In America, the right to drive feels about as sacred as the right to vote. You would fight a war over it. In Germany, it is a permission slip with a speedometer, and permission can be withdrawn. The no-limit road is not a gift handed out at the border. It is a reward for a whole society agreeing to be disciplined. So the fantasy had it backwards the whole time. The Autobahn is not the one place Germany finally lets its hair down. It is Germany being even more German than usual, just faster. That no-limit stretch is a reward, handed only to people who have proven they will follow the other 9 rules when nobody is watching. And it works, which is the annoying part. Per mile driven, the road with no speed limit kills fewer people than the American interstate, where the limit is the law. Order at 240 is safer than chaos at 70, which is why you cannot copy it by taking down the signs. Import the freedom without the 10 rules that pay for it, and you do not get the Autobahn. You get a very fast pileup with a flag on it. And that is what this channel keeps finding. The impressive German thing you can see, the speed, is never the achievement. The achievement is the boring, invisible discipline underneath that makes it survivable. The Autobahn is not freedom from rules. It is what rules look like when a whole country actually follows them. Which, apparently, looks like a Volkswagen doing 240 in total silence. Subscribe for more of how Germany quietly solved things the rest of us are still arguing about. And the next time someone tells you America should just build an Autobahn, gently remind them we cannot even agree to stay out of the left lane.